Hi everyone, today we're going to be talking about victims of crime and the different avenues for seeking compensation for victims of crime. So first up, we've got the Victims of Crime Assistance Tribunal, or VOCAT, which is established to acknowledge and provide financial assistance to victims of crime committed in Victoria and to assist those victims in their recovery from crime. Okay, so there's three different types of victims of crime. The first one is a primary victim. So that's a person who is injured or dies as a direct result of a violent crime committed against him or her, or while trying to arrest someone he or she believes on reasonable grounds has committed a violent crime, or trying to prevent the commission of a violent crime, trying to aid or rescue someone he or she believes is the victim of a violent crime. So if you go to the assistance of somebody else who's being bashed or in some way assaulted, and you get hurt as a result of your intervention in the situation, then you then become a primary victim. Alright, so a secondary victim is a person who is injured as a direct result of being either a witness to a serious violent crime and suffering psychological issues as a result, or being a parent of a child under the age of 18 who is the primary victim of a violent crime and as a result suffering psychological issues. The third and final type of victim is a related victim, and that's a person who at the time of the violent crime was a close family member of a deceased primary victim, a dependent of a deceased primary victim. So if you've got a disability, or if you're a minor and you're dependent on a parent who's died, or a person who's had an intimate personal relationship with a deceased primary victim. So basically a related victim is only a category that's relevant to victims of crime who have passed away and their family members are left behind. Okay, so what are the different types of assistance available through VOCAT? So the different types of assistance are set out in the Victims of Crime Assistance Act 1996, and they include assistance for reasonable counselling and medical expenses incurred, safety-related expenses, so things like relocation costs, security measures, new locks, and any other factors that affect the immediate safety of the victim. They also include loss or damage to clothing worn at the time of the incident, loss of earnings up to $20,000 for primary or secondary victims, dependency upon deceased primary victim, so that's for related victims only, and assistance for reasonable funeral expenses incurred. Alright, so what are the costs of making an application for compensation through VOCAT? They're free. The applications are made in the Magistrates Court and they're heard by a magistrate. If a lawyer makes an application on your behalf, then they cannot charge the victim any legal fees. However, the lawyer can be reimbursed by the tribunal. And payments are made to victims either in a lump sum or instalments. Okay, and just finally, what are some of the other ways that victims can be reimbursed? Victims of crime have the right to make a civil claim for damages against an offender, but this will be dependent on the seriousness of the case and whether or not the offender has any money or assets. So if you're the victim of a crime and your offender has little to no money, then there'd be no point you bringing a civil claim against them for damages because you're not likely to get much money out of them. So probably a better avenue for you to pursue in that situation would be that it's possible under the Sentencing Act for a victim to apply to the court for an order that the offender found guilty must pay compensation.